Welcome to the Six Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Six Figure Author Experiment. It has been a while since we talked, Lee, so what have you been up to?
We just got back from the beach while our house was being remodeled. We stayed there, and now the kids are in camp. So I just set up some live TikTok writing sprints if anyone wants to hop on, because I'm getting an ADHD diagnosis, and it turns out like being under pressure really helps me. So there's the mirroring involved, and if someone needs that, I'll be going live. You can follow me on the TikTok Millionaire Author and hang out. We'll get our books written.
There's also a lot of places you can do body doubling. Have you explored the body doubling space?
I don't want to pay for anything, but yeah, my friend does that. And if I'm too late to sprint with her, but she gets up late. So I was going to get some early morning sprints in.
Great. I love it. Yeah. Like, it is not how my brain works, but the capitalist people tend to be very like neurospicy in some way. And it's interesting how many of them, just by being in a co-working space, even if no one's in the co-working space or like working with one other person, we have a co-working space for unicorn members. And often just like one person will go in and be like, just the fact that someone could come in keeps me honest of like doing the work thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, body doubling is basically you just like, if me and Lee just didn't talk and we just did like worked in our own thing, like that's body doubling. It's a kind of weird word for a pretty simple concept that can be powerful. And I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, it's basically mirroring. And I do have an established sprint group. And it's just, if I'm the first one to arrive, I putz around for an hour, and then they show up and they're like, let's go. I'm like, oh, well, so I'll just be doing that on TikTok, and I think it's fun. We're gearing up for the book marketing boot camp next week. I have a free marketing course that I released that takes you behind the scenes of my sales funnel, and we'll get the link to everybody for that. And then if people need help implementing it, join the boot camp, because we're going to have Tammy Labrecque, Holly Darling, and a bunch of awesome, very successful authors helping people implement it all. So that's in the works, and I'm going to finish my effing book.
Yeah.
Too.
Right. I mean, I love that it's like an effing book and it's an effing book. Like it works on so many levels.
On so many levels. So what have you been up to?
So we just got back from Disney World. And I have been this year has been like pure chaos in a way that I did not quite expect when I first started. But I started a new group coaching program with a new coach. So I'm about to launch that in July. And I have traveled to, let's see, where did I go? I went to New Orleans, and then I went to Vegas. And then I had my brother-in-law came and dropped off his dog as he goes off to Southeast Asia for a few months. And then my in-laws came, and then I went to Boise. And then I just got back from Orlando like literally yesterday. So, and meanwhile, I've been building, I showed you before, but I've been like chaosing these two apps to be like, I'm bored of the AI conversation. Just bored. It's like, I get it. Like you either do or you don't use AI to write, and either it's going to destroy or save the industry. And I just like, that's not interesting to me anymore. I get it. Like, the question I have is like, what are we missing? Like, what are the things that like you can do to completely revolutionize everything about how you think about stories that like you are just missing because you are either so focused on using. So we spend so much time saying, how can I use AI to do this more of the thing that I already do?
Hmm.
Or I would never do that. Like making 12 books a year is just the thing we shouldn't have to do. And we shouldn't make 50 books a year with AI either. Like it's just like we shouldn't have to do that. It's just like a ridiculous, slightly ridiculous thing that we have been sucked into in the indie community where it's like, okay, well, like if you want to make 12 books, great. I do know some people who just want to write 12 books and like that's all they want to do and amazing. But more often than not, I meet people who are like, I'm writing a book a month. Okay, do you want to do that? And they're like,
Hmm.
no, not really. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? They're like, oh, I want to like make a this or make a that, or I just want to like putz around and do this other thing. And I'm like, okay, well, but like you could do that. You know you can do that, right? And they're like, no, I don't. What do you mean? And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna show you. So I've been creating basically like two apps, one for fiction and one for nonfiction that kind of like break the bounds of what I've seen on Claude and Claude has told me it can't do. And I'm like, interesting, because we've already done the app. It's already done this thing to just make it a better, more interactive experience or just a different experience because people will pay for different experiences. Even if it's the same like content in different experiences, they will do it for not with nonfiction. It's they'll pay for the app, they'll pay for the book, they'll pay for the workshop, they'll pay for the course, they'll pay for the implementation. Like they'll pay for the same thing 5 ways. But like they'll also do that in fiction. They'll also
Yeah.
just like
Just
bot.
f-
Yeah,
fulfill the
exactly.
brand promise because they're after a feeling. And if you're giving them that feeling over and over, you talked about the magic trick a couple episodes ago, and I keep thinking about that. Colleen Hoover's magic trick, according to my friend who loves her books, is there's small town with some trauma dump, which is
Mhm.
intensely cathartic for my friend.
Right. Yeah.
And she delivered on that brand promise for a decade
Hmm.
and then can write, a psychological thriller. I just read
Right.
Verity. And, you can be wildly creative and go off on tangents, but she does have a brand promise that she fulfilled over and over again.
Yeah.
Frida McFadden, it's that twist, that psychological thriller twist, and she delivers it. And so did Colleen Hoover, actually, in her psychological thriller,
Yeah.
Verity.
So I
I was
would
like,
say Colleen Hoover's thing is this is the most broken human I can imagine, and she still deserves love too. So
oh,
you
I love
probably
that.
do.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's a great brand promise. And as long as you're delivering on that, you can gain a readership. And like you just said, it doesn't have to be within between the pages of a book.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to compromise the things that you want to add AI or not AI. It's just like, it's such a silly, I mean, it's not a silly conversation. There's a lot of real stakes involved, but it's the same thing when we were like, write 5,000 words an hour. It's like, but like, why? Why are we writing 5,000 words? Like, why do we have to write 5,000 words an hour? This is like a broken, like Colleen Hoover doesn't have to write 5,000 words an hour. And like, if she doesn't have to write 5,000 words an hour, why doesn't she have to write 5,000 words an hour? And part of it is the audience, part of it is the diversification, part of it is the length of her the amount of time she's done the magic trick. But more and more, it's like, well, George R. R. Martin doesn't have to write books 6 and 7 because he has a TV show and a game and a comic and like 1,000 other things that he's doing. And if you're the kind of person who would rather not write a book a month, but would instead like to expand your brand, in the last 6 months, it actually has become very, I don't want to say easy. I'm frustrated every day. I yell at my code robot all the time. But like meanwhile, I have made interactive games like little like mini games. I've made a codex. I've made like I can't even presentations like apps. Like I've made all of this stuff basically like taking my one thing, which is a book, and being like, okay, how do you want to experience this book? Do you want it to be a gamified workbook? Like, do you want it to be like a RPG interactive adventure? Like, I like the story. and I want you to experience the story. And if you're telling me that you want a different way to experience the story and like you will pay me again for that, I can actually do that as opposed to waiting for some romance virtual novel company to like turn my thing into like a X, or like to make I'm going to take the comic book off the page because like I specifically do not deal with like the art part of this because it is like the one that's the most fraught. But like you could make a comic script and find like a part, like you can do all of these things are like actually really possible now. And if you tell me what you want to do, I will probably tell you there's at least a way forward to get there. I mean, you wanted to do a comic and a podcast, and like both of those things we did together.
And I think the issue is we're not in a permission market anymore. We haven't been in some time, but all of our teachers don't understand that.
Right.
Which is why I went to school for creative writing. And then it took me 8 years to become a full-time author. And that just took a decision, really.
Right.
Like, I'm doing it. How do I do it? And it turned out to be indie, which suits me. There's many ways to do it, though. But you don't wait for permission. I think that's the biggest thing I want to teach my kids, other than how to regulate their nervous system and deal with the ADHD that they probably have. And I just want them to do the thing.
Right.
And even if it's just for fun, I was also, I love the Latin quote, and I will butcher the Latin, but anyway, I won't say it in Latin. It's everything changes, but nothing dies. Nothing will perish. And Renee and I talk about this, and I just saw one of the Vlogbrothers talk about how nothing is lost when you go on these tangents. So let's say you make the game or the comic and you never sell it. You're just putzing around. But all of that knowledge comes with you. Just like Renee taught a dance troupe for 20 years or led a dance troupe. And then she became a full-time author and said, well, what was all that dancing for? Other than her being incredibly fit, which helps her writing because she doesn't have wrist and hip pain like I went through. She brought all of that experience with her. And again, she doesn't have to be a full-time dancer to benefit from being a dance major and then running the troupe and still teaching dance classes. Even if it's just she's incredibly fit, she knows how to regulate her nervous system and tune into her body in a very deep way. And one of her favorite characters we ever wrote for our Bad Boy Alphas was a dancer.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Can I show you something? Because like this is something that I have been talking about for a while now, and I finally have a graphic for it. Okay. So what you're talking about is where I think most people are. They are wondering why they're not able to level up. And this is where I think that the thing you just said is brilliant, because let's say you want to start a podcast. Let's say that's your like big goal. You want to start a podcast. Then you want it to be a great podcast. Then there are skills you have to deliver on. And so this graphic then breaks that up into speaking, writing, and research. And under those things, there's, let's say, 3 more things you have to learn to be great at speaking. And then under that, there's like 3 more things you have to learn to be great at like whatever that aspect is. And across the writing, the speaking, and the research, there's 27 things that you have to know in order to make a great podcast that is amazing. And what you're saying is like you are here at one of the small pieces. And if you bump around and do a bunch of other stuff, it all can be in service of starting a great podcast. But you're not going to start a great podcast until you can unlock all of these sort of rows. You might be able to start a podcast, but like you need to be a great speaker, a great writer, a great researcher. And that means it could be a great dancer, a great, like whatever the things are, but like they're all in service of these bigger goals that you have that you might not even understand what they are now. But they maybe in 5 years, 6 years, you'll be like, oh my God, it all comes together. It's all like, I get it now. Like I'm a capitalist. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was the thing that I was going to do. I didn't have a name for it when I was going to do it. But like everything, like in retrospect, you look and be like, well, obviously, dude, like you like look at all the things that you love and you like worked at and you got great at. But so I think that we are moving into a world where the thing you said is like an essential component of making something that sustains.
Just wandering and then let it mutate.
Well, I mean, I would, so when I sit down with a person who is like, I'm blocked, I don't know why I can't get to the level, I go, okay, well, like, let's like make a chart. Like, you want to make $2,000 a month as a
Hmm.
writer. And like, that means like, what skills do you need to do that? And you're like, well, I mean, you got to write really well. You also got to brand really well. You got to run ads or have some sort of marketing, and you've got to like make sales. You've got to have retail. So like, there's a finite number of things that you need to make $2,000. Often it's like, well, you only have one book out, and it's at 99 cents. So like, math, dude, just math. Like you
Start a
can't.
Patreon.
Right. You're like, this is like an impossibility. But like sometimes it's like, okay, well, your book is good, your branding is pretty good, but like it's not good enough to like really get like I reasonably expect to make and people just fall in love with it on first sight. Like your ads are mid or like maybe they're great at ads and like so you often what happens is when people can't get to the level they are, they're really high up on one thing like man, you are great at running ads.
Hmm.
But like your conversion sucks because like there's just not enough stuff behind it to like make money. Like you're not making enough money because there's just not enough there. And
Yeah.
so when you actually break down like what you're doing, it's like you missed either an obvious or a non-obvious thing that is stopping you from getting to the place you want to get to. And if you just like go backwards and you're like, well, if you've done all of these things, then reasonably you should make $2,000 a month. But if you're not doing these things, I don't know if there's a problem because you're not doing these things. I don't know. Like you can find somebody who's doing it a different way, but if you want me to help you, you have to like do the stack that we just decided you needed to have.
Hmm. Well, and then it's a mindset issue or a nervous system is frazzled
Right.
issue.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone and I was like, it's really interesting that um, I think it was in your group actually. It was like, I was like, you want to finish a book, but you restarted the book. So why did you not just finish the book? Like you could have finished a bad book. The quality of the book wasn't the thing you said was your biggest goal. You said finishing the book was the biggest goal. So like, what does it matter if you completely change the plot halfway through? If your goal is to finish, then you finish. If your goal is to make a perfect book, then you should still finish that book and then just put it away and make a different book.
Yeah. Or I do rewrite the book in the middle of the book.
Sure.
It's so funny. I'm slowing down my whole process to write, one book much, much slower.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun because I'm working with a new editor who's doing chapter by chapter dev edits just to make every chapter really hooky, to make the chapter goal really, really clear.
Right.
And I'm still writing what I want to write, and it's messy. And there are some good moments in there, but then she's like, okay, to get them to the end of the chapter, though, what's the scene goal and how does she fail? I'm like,
Right.
you're right. That will make it even more hookier. And I can't just she won't let me write any scenes that are just wandery.
Right.
And which is nice because that's why I co-write so much, is because yeah, I can bring a lot of heart and a lot of, ooh, this is gonna be a juicy moment. And yeah, some quality writing. But I keep saying now, write for me, shape it for the reader, and then I package it for the market. And that has been really interesting. So in the boot camp, we had a strategist come and talk about author strategy. I will boil it right down to you. If you have 5 books in your series, you can advertise it.
Yeah.
And she just kept going down the list. And people were like, what about and this or that? And there was a few times where she's like, okay, that title you can't advertise because it has the word sex in it, like things like that.
Right.
But also so many people were like, well, how do I? And she goes, you can't get the math to work because you only have 3 books in that series. Now, if you can combine series, which she's one of my sprint partners, and I finally am like, oh, right, I'll just combine those series that I've been slowly writing for the past 2 years. And now I have 5.
Right.
I will once this one is done. And then my other friend is doing ad walkthroughs, basically. Let's set up ads together. And they talk about the 5 levers you pull for marketing. And it's really the packaging. And they will change a book title or cover like it's nothing. Because it really, again, we're not in a permission market. You're like,
Right.
unless you have 10,000 books printed in your basement or coming from China, you can swap out your cover, and you still can swap out your cover. You'll have, the old collectible cover, and then you have the new one that might convert better. But it was amazing to me, this growth mindset of just pull the lever. Then the 5 levers are book cover, book description, and they test the hell out of those. Because if you're going to slow down your writing pace, you just up your conversion and make sure it's really clicky. And then they told all the mistakes they made because this is how we get there. And then on the ad, of course, it's audience. And then, of course, the ad image and the ad copy. 5 levers. Pull them until you make money. That's it.
Yeah. So I do want to, I love that, but I also do want to go back and say, like, you do write books in the middle, but it's working. Like, it's working.
It's working for me.
Right.
And yeah, that person wanted to finish a book, and I'm like, why don't you finish it and then you fix it with an editor, with a phone a friend? Like, seriously, phone a friend. Seth Godin talks about polishing the problem. He's like, you're not hiring the coach, you're not taking the class, you're not finishing the book. You're just sitting here like, I have this problem. And it really was a slap in the face for me because I'm like, yeah, if I want to fix an issue, I go hire the coach. I hire the best person for me, and I learn the thing.
Right.
And then I don't have a problem anymore, and I move on.
Yeah. Heather Hildenbrand says you can live in the energy of the problem or the solution, but not both.
Yeah.
And
so much of it is your body gets stuck.
Yeah.
Which is why, in my wondering, I'm going to become a Pilates instructor.
Amazing. I love it. Often, though, we don't know that we're living in the energy of the problem because, like, to go back to this person, like, she's like, well, I went back and rewrote the book, and it's like, okay, but like that's the problem is your book's not done. The energy of the solution is I finished the book, and it doesn't matter if it's bad because I learned from a bad book and I can rewrite a bad book. Going back and finishing a thing is like, you think, oh, but like, I want the book to be the best thing that it can be. And it's like, yeah, but that is not the goal. Like, that's not your goal right now. Your goal is to finish the book. And it's like, we say in Happiness, like, if it was working, it would be working. The evidence of it not working is that it's not working. And the evidence that it works is that it works. So, like, if your goal is to be Lee and you finish books and then you can rewrite in the middle and like it works for you to get the book done, awesome. But like, if you're not finishing a book and you've been going back and rereading a book and you're rewriting a book and your goal is to finish the book, like, maybe you should just finish the book. Like, you just have to like it doesn't matter how much you want to be like Lee. Like, if Lee's process doesn't work for you to actually finish the solution, which is and also it might not be to finish a book. Your goal might not be finish a book, but you need to know like what is the goal, because then you can say, okay, great. My goal is finish a book this month.
Yeah.
And then if you don't finish a book that month, you can be like, well, I got a bunch of pages done. And like in coaching, I just like, but you didn't finish the book though. They're like, oh yeah, but like, I'll just do that next month. And I'm like, okay, but like, that was your goal. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't make your goal. I actually do not care what you do as long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody else, as long as you're happy. You're not happy. And my evidence that you're not happy is you just paid me for coaching. And like, I'm a very fun person, but nobody pays to be across the table from me unless they have a problem.
Right.
So, like, if you have a problem, which you do, then like I can help you fix the problem. But like you have to know you like we have to actually fix the problem. I don't care if you write all work at no play makes Johnny a I don't care as long as the book is done because that is the goal you set. If your goal is making the perfect book, that's a different goal, and we can talk about that as your goal. But then then we have to say, well, your book is not going to be writing your book can't be the goal because finishing the book and making it perfect are two different goals.
Yeah. And I've finished books and it took me years to finish my first one. And then I got the hang of it. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a hookier book. And it actually took me a while to get clear on my goal. And that was because I did make the mistake of getting a degree in creative writing, which you do not need to be an author. You can just give yourself permission now. But I don't regret my time doing it. It just, you don't need it. But they skewed my idea of what a good book is.
Mm-hmm.
And the word good is actually too vague. Like you said, I want to write a perfect book. That's too, it is, does not, if a 5-year-old can't repeat back exactly what that means, like a finished book, I think would make sense to a 5-year-old. Like the book is
Right.
done. And if I say a book that you really, 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 really want to read, like that gets you closer. But I was like, I want a good book. And I was thinking about this literary fiction. And I actually have a cool chart I want to show that really helped me. And it basically was the way an agent divides up the market, the book market, when they're representing authors to publishers. And you have quiet literary fiction, and then you have hooky books. So one end is like nothing happens, but the prose is pretty. And I read one of those books, loved it. And then on the other hand is like a Michael Crichton book. It's all hook. Or Hail Mary by Andy Weiss.
Yeah.
Lots of hooks. And I was for so long trying to go to the literary side, which is fine, except I'm writing commercial fiction. And I'm like, oh, I want a bestseller. And then I read the bestsellers. I'm like, I don't want to write like this.
Right.
But I figure I can write well and be more hooky. What will actually get my books to sell more isn't prettier purple prose.
Right.
It's more hooky. And
Right.
so and it's also okay for me to go, no, I'm gonna write literary fiction. That's totally fine too, or poetry or whatever. But you need to, like you said with the goal, I think it is helpful to get exactly what you want. And I think the biggest challenge in that is you want what other people told you should want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's in Happilist, we use the Eastful Joy Loop, and attunement is the first thing. And attunement is like having a radio dial on the side of your head, and you're seeing all of these opportunities you hate. But if you just like turn the dial a little bit, you're gonna stop listening to like the stuff you hate and be like, oh, look at all these opportunities. How did I not see them? Because the opportunities are falling like manna from heaven all over the place. And you're tuning in to like the wrong frequency of it. And then there's the next part is like stopping undercutting yourself. But like most people, when they're like, I don't know how I can do this anymore, I'm like, well, yeah, but you're tuned to the wrong frequency, my dear. Like if you actually know what you want, which is hard, and then if you know what you want, then you can say, do you want Lee Savino's life? Or do you want like a quiet literary? I'm trying to think of the person, Sarah, the one who always does the wedding people, or like you want their life, because like that's a different life.
Loved Wedding People. And that's actually more of mid or not mid list.
It's like upmarket. It's like upmarket literary
it's
fiction.
Slightly literary. Rumen Alam. Rich and Pretty. That was the very, very, nothing happens. It was so
Yeah.
good though. And it was
Yeah.
a lot of psychological acuity. It was a lot of like witty commentary
Right.
on rich and pretty people in New York. Loved it. And then Wedding People, excellent. But again, if I'm like, well, I want to write like that, then the packaging's going to be way different.
Yeah. But also
And
just like how you sell it is going to be different too. Like, and what you sell.
book clubs,
Because,
man.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, you have to do, like, if someone comes to me and they're like, I want to sell the most books, I'm like, okay, write romance. And they're like, I don't want to write romance. I'm like, I don't, like, then you don't want to write them, sell the most books because it's like, so clearly romance, because like they make the most money and they sell the most, like, it's just like math. It's like,
Or YA. I think YA you can hit a lot of readership.
right, but that's not the most. The most is like one, like if your goal is the most, then like the most market is like write romance in like one of five tropes and do like a book a month for like 2 years. And like probably if you run ads to it, that's the easiest way to make the most. But most people then go, well, I don't want that. I'm like, okay, great. Like
Yeah.
then I want to write fantasy. Okay, then your goal can be making the most fantasy sales, but it cannot be making the most sales because you have now redefined, and this is the point I'm making, is every choice you make as a writer or as a creator is going to increase or decrease your total addressable market. And so if you want to write fungal horror, which is one of my favorite kinds of horror.
Never heard of it, and I've been happy to have not heard of it.
Oh, it's like Last of Us. It's like Last of Us, like you know.
Ah,
But it's like that is a pretty small market. That's pretty small market. Like Last of Us is like the complete market, and it's much smaller than everything else is a portion of that.
yeah.
And so it's like, okay, you want to write this thing. So we need a different plan because like this is not going to give you enough in just books, but you can make a game, you can make a movie, you can like go on a speaking circuit, you can like consult on things. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can do, but like a book like Wedding People is unlikely to give you the money that you need by itself. This is why most people who write literary fiction also on some level are teachers or they run retreats or they do other things that like so like if you come to me and say I want to write one book a year in fungal horror and like I want to make 7 figures, I'm going to be like, well, no, just like that's not a thing that is likely. And I say that with love because, like, I don't want you to feel bad like I did for years because I wrote books that are not meant to be read quickly because that's another thing of writing the most books. If you want to make the most money selling books, like they sell in a specific way. Like there's a way to like write a book that like people just have to hooky it up and like
Yep.
that it's a specific kind of chapter length and like specific and if you don't want yeah.
I feel so much like I'm dumbing things down a little. I'm like, I'm going to state her goal explicitly on the page so you're absolutely clear what this section's goal is.
Right.
But I get it. Like, then the brain is a predictive machine and it goes, okay, this is her goal. I wonder how she's going to do it. And then, of course, you make her fail miserably or she succeeds, but the consequences are so dire.
Yeah.
And it's more hooky. It is, but
yeah.
It's not literary fiction, Russell.
Yes, and it's not dense. Right. If you write books like The Gods vs. Chronicles that are very dense, people are not going to be able to read them quickly. It's just impossible. Like they are going to have to stop. And if you're writing a book that requires people to like absorb
this book, the book I'm writing now, you could speed through it.
Right.
Like you can eat it like a cupcake in one bite. And I felt that way actually about like Harry Potter and Twilight and a lot of these blockbuster books, even Hunger Games, like very clear goals. Yeah. Is there a deeper societal commentary? Absolutely. You can still put that in. But I was reading those Harry Potter books like candy. I was like, this is just like candy. Just, it's so easy for me to just nom, nom, nom. And
Yes.
that's cool. That's good. That's
Yeah.
hooky.
Yes, and that is where you get the biggest part of the market. But if you don't, and if you write books like that, or you want to write books like that, that leads to a specific things that are reasonable to expect. And what happens is somebody like me who writes ridiculously complicated, like like the 43 of my books happen across like 27 threads of the universe as like it like reincarnates itself. It's a lot of stuff. And like it's not going to be the thing that you can be like read book one and then speed read to the end of book 12 and you can get all of the stuff on Kindle Unlimited. This is the thing I see on Kindle Unlimited because like you're like, oh, well, the read through's not working for me. And you're like, okay, but like your books are dense. They're like 5,000 words each. And like there's like 500 like footnotes in them. Like they're just someone who picks up a Kindle wants to do Kindle Unlimited. They want to pick up a book and like finish it in 30 minutes or like an hour and like finish it that day. And like that's a different kind of book. And it is not a good book or a bad book. Pulp books have been around for a long time.
Yes, I do. I write pulp. I do want to play with the pretty prose though, so I'll have a little bit of that, but I'm realizing prose doesn't have to be complex. If I can make it simple, elegant, and beautiful,
Yeah.
that would actually satisfy everything that I want, which is to sell massive amounts and hit number one on Amazon because I haven't done it yet,
Right.
and or whatever, New York Times if I get a book deal or whatever. And well, I just want loads of money, Russell. I just love the money. So
Sure.
it's okay. I'm writing a book that, and we'll see. Also, I have no idea how it will hit the market. And I also know that it doesn't matter how great my book is. I have a following, so I know it will sell. But if I didn't, and I still am going to do this, I'm going to be posting my heart out on TikTok about it because I just need a massive amount of traffic. I was looking at it was a course maker, and they were analyzing all these course makers on this course platform called School, which is where I run the boot camp. So they put me in this group to learn about how to run it, and they're like, "Yeah, the top earners on our platform don't have a really great converting sales page. It converts at like 2%. They send massive amounts of traffic," and I was like, "Okay, great. I know if you get in the boot camp, you're going to be in a great community. You have Happilist. Like you just need the traffic. Same for this book. If I want people to know about it, I got to talk about it nonstop. And that if I want number one on Amazon, that's what I got to do. Or I have to, deliver my brand promise so many times that I have a groundswell. And then my audience will do it for me. But I think I really shrunk my platform over the past few years because I just didn't want to play the game. I didn't want to dance like a monkey.
Sure.
And now I'm like, okay, I'm back. Oh, it's okay. I'll do it.
Yeah. But then like I still refuse to do that sort of thing. And I don't actually care about the money at all. And those are
you love talking to authors. Like
right.
You told me you just love and you're an amazing nonfiction writer because I've read so much of your nonfiction. It's like
right.
do the thing. Do it.
It's actually really good. Because I was just at this conference where James Clear spoke. He talked about how he made Atomic Habits, and I'm sure he's done this 1,000 times before or 1,000,000 times before. But the idea was he looked at every New York Times article and saw like which ones were getting clicked the most, which were the most popular, which were the ones with the headlines, and he was like, which are the ones that have the right like how can I write it so that it can be shared in an Instagram tweetable thing? And like he wrote the entire book to be as hooky as possible in nonfiction. And that is why it's the number one fiction book. It is not because it is the greatest fiction book. It is because it stacks every habit on top of each other. And it is literally made to be it is optimized to have the most things. Now, is it the most transformational book I've ever read? No, it's not. But like that is not the goal. That is not the thing that James Clear was going for. He wanted to have the most sales. He
Definitely.
wanted it to be the most shareable. And
Yeah.
two people are sitting on this call, and like we have very different places we're in our business right now. And but like even if I was like, great, I just want to send a ton of traffic to Hapless, I would still not be as successful as James Clear because Hapless doesn't make any sense unless you like are bought into it. Like I can't just say Atomic Habits and they're like, "Oh, great. They have like these are the we studied 40 years of habits and we're like these are the 10 that you need and like I'm going to have a chapter on each one so they can be shared at everyone." That's not how Hapitalist works. Hapitalist is business clarity for chaos-minded creators. So, you have to be a business owner who is creator who also is chaos minded. And like those three things, you will love Joy Looper and you will love Hapitalist and it'll make sense to you. But if like you are really a kind of person who likes order or like you want to do one thing really well, like you just are a grassland and you just want to like write 40 books in the same genre and you don't want to like chaos around and do stuff. I don't know, like probably Hapitalist isn't the right thing, but Atomic Habits would still be the right thing for both for anyone. And so like that's what I mean. Like your writer MBA was for any writer who wanted to be a business person. It was a pretty easy to be like, you want that or you don't want that. But like wannabe press is weird books for weird people. I've now said weird twice in that sentence. So like
Your
that is
niche is
the
down. Your
yeah, it's
niche
like
went down, but you got a brand promise, so
right.
that's good.
And this is where I think that we can people that are more esoteric can win. It's not by I am never going to be number one on Amazon, but I can be like a millionaire by
Yeah.
just finding a few hundred people who really, really, really want to like have that idea and that it spreads and it like expands beyond itself. Or I could be 100,000-aire or whatever. And, or I could say, you know, I'm just going to do this weird thing and I invest as well. So like all my investments are doing pretty okay. So I'm like, I could just do that and like make
Yeah.
my weird
The
thing.
investments making more than the books is actually where I'm liking to be. But I think and Seth Godin talked about that too. He's like, you ease the constraints. You're like,
Right.
I'm not gonna write romance guys. I'm gonna write weird books for weird people. And I'm gonna talk to authors because I love that. And I'm gonna do this and this and this. And then you've just found the way.
Right.
Um, and you ease the constraints. You're like, I actually want to go to the movies every afternoon. That's more important to me than having a number one on Amazon hit, which
Right. Yeah. So what we do is say, okay, great. So you can do, I like to say I'll enable any weird idea you have, as long as you look at it realistically and say, well, that's probably not going to work. And I make sure that you say that. I'm like, you should do it. But in 3 months, when it doesn't work, you can't come back to me and say I'm bad because it didn't work.
yeah,
Because there was no reasonable expectation for it to work. Like there is no reasonable expectation for my weird sci-fi fantasy 12 book series to outsell Werewolf Shifters and like dark romance. It's just like no reasonable expectation why that would happen. So like I should not be this is not to take anything away from like what you've done or like what anyone has done. It's just the
it's just
total
a bigger
addressable market is different. It's
It's
just
just yeah.
so like what is good about the thing is you can be like, okay, well, you can make an RPG. Like this really actually very popular RPG. Like that's Dungeons and Dragons is like basically just like the Godsverse Chronicles and like or like you can make a game like Last of Us, or you can do all of these other things. And yes, Lee is going to probably make those too because she's always at the forefront of all this stuff. But like you can like you have to build the life on the constraints that you want. It's all going to be hard. Like it was very hard to like make that 26, 20, how many books is, I don't know, 500 book series, but you can make the life that you like want, but you have to understand the constraints. Anyway, Lee.
Yeah, and give yourself permission.
Yeah, for sure.
And then focus on the solution, get in the energy of the solution, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wrapping up here. Any final thoughts, Lee?
I think we should do some more book club where we read a book and then we talk about it so other people don't have to waste their time on it.
Yeah, I love it. Like, let's do it.
I know our schedule has been like, I have one day in July, but we'll make it happen. And I would love to know what people want us to review on here if they have any questions. I am very grateful to everyone who commented on the last podcast episode, which was meditation for authors, which is my hack and way to reprogram my mind. So I once I figure out what I want, I'm like, you're a number one author or whatever. I just hypnotize myself to do it. So if you want more of that, check out the past episode, and my YouTube has more, and I'm doing tons of them in the boot camp. And
why don't you talk about the boot camp a little bit?
The book marketing boot camp. So we got the live cohort kicking off, and I run it twice a year, once in January, once in July. However, we now have ad walkthroughs monthly and extra classes that are a little bit more like, let's do it together, as we go month to month, versus next week. I will be very focused on getting my marketing done for the next 6 months. And that's what the boot camp is for me. But you get access to all the past boot camps, and they're already in the classroom. And this boot camp, we're going to focus on our sales systems so that when you send a buttload of traffic to your books, you have the sales funnels nailed down. And that's really how I make money in my sleep. So yeah, check out the book marketing boot camp. Join me on TikTok if you want to sprint.
Where can they find the boot camp, Lee?
That's a good question. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Wonderful.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. For me, you can go to hapitalist.com. I was showing Lee before we started recording this really cool app I just made called Joy Looper, which you can get at joy.hapitalist.com. And I'm trying to focus down on just doing the Joy Looper stuff. And it's basically anything I can do, you can do better. And it's done for you things. It's like modules, it's plans, it's kits, but it's also just as simple as like coming in and tracking your energy for the day.
It's amazing. I got a sneak peek. I'm really excited to play with it and share it in the Facebook group Millionaire Author Mastermind, which is also where you can find both of us if you want to just chill.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, everyone, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.